Hello everyone, we are Group 2. We have chosen Bright Food Group as the case company. This presentation will divide into 5 parts. Firstly, let me introduce the background part. Founded in 2006, Bright Food Group is a well-known food company in China. As a modern urban industrial group with the food industry chain as its core, it owns many brands such as Bright Dairy, Meilin, Guanshengyuan, etc. Bright Food Group has maintained stable trade cooperation with many international food companies such as Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola, Nestle, Danone, Century. It has also laid a good foundation for Bright Food to go to the world. It has successfully attempted mergers and acquisitions. After 4 failed overseas acquisitions, Bright acquired 75% stake in the Monash, one of the Australia's largest food companies, accumulate rich experience in the future international operations. However, there's also a weakness. Its leading brand, Bright Dairy, once known as the three giants of China's dairy industry together with Mengniu and Yili, has not achieved this in recent years due to the supply chain defects, which result in the relatively low market share. The rapid development of competitors has greatly restricted Bright Food, and the continuous downturn of the domestic food industry, especially the sugar industry, resulting in losing the international competitiveness in the raw material costs, forcing the international development of it. However, China is deepening policies on expanding domestic demands and promoting consumption upgrades, bringing new opportunities for Bright to optimize the layout of its domestic product line and promoting its revenue and development. Next, my team member Yu Han will continue to analyze the domestic market and analyze the overseas target market. Thank you.
Thank you, Katrina. First of all, I will conduct a macro assessment of the domestic market through 4 aspects, including political, economic, social, and technological. Politically, the Chinese government plays an important role in promoting China's dairy consumption. In the early 2000s, the government launched a plan to provide each child with a glass of free milk. In 2021, the Vice Minister of Agriculture and Rural Areas attended China's 2021 Dairy Industry Summit. This means that the country's top leaders pay more attention to the development of dairy industry. Economically, as shown in the first figure on the right, the total consumption of dairy product has fluctuated in the past few years, and per capita consumption is very low. China is the 3rd largest milk producer in the world. However, China's per capita annual intake is only 6.8 liters, compared with 50 liters in the United States. In addition, as shown in the second picture on the right, you can see that the domestic market is increasingly impacted by imported goods. In terms of social aspects, due to the enhancement of people's health awareness, the consumption of dairy products has been accelerated. In the field of technology, China still lacks advanced dairy production technology like breeding good dairy breeds. For example, in 2020, China imported 200,000 dairy cows from Australia and New Zealand. In general, there are still many factors restricting the development of the domestic market. Therefore, it is necessary to choose a foreign market to enter. We selected 3 countries with famous dairy products for comparison, including Poland, Japan, and Canada. In order to make the assessment more objective and fair, the 5 assessment contents are divided into several assessment sub-contents. If you look at the table, it can be found that Poland only has advantages in per capita milk consumption and milk production. The remaining contents are dominated by Canada. Therefore, the Canadian market is most suitable market to enter. Thank you, and let's welcome our next member, April.
Thanks, Yuhan. Okay, next, I will use the OLI framework to explain our entry mode. From ownership perspective, Bright has advanced technology. The PolyU and Bright set up a joint research laboratory in 2019. At least 5 international R&D projects are developed and tested here each year. So wholly owned and direct exports are good choice. From location perspective, the Canadian government supports foreign investment and provide low business tax and good business environment. So joint venture and wholly owned are appropriate. From internationalization perspective, Bright owns complete value chain of food industries such as agriculture, processing, production, retail, and distribution. So internalization is a good choice. Of the three models, direct exports is the relatively easy and low-risk one. For Bright, it has rich overseas investment experience and strong capital, technology, and anti-risk ability. The development brought by direct exports is limited and cannot bring cooperative innovation. So Bright can choose a more challenging model. If Bright chooses wholly owned, it gets full control of the company and protect its skill and knowledge, and it can capture the market share quickly. But the disadvantage are high cost and risk and conflicts with local workers. If Bright chooses joint venture, it can share knowledge and technology with other companies, and the risk can be spread. Moreover, the impact of local policies will be reduced. The downside of joint venture is the potential for technology leakage, and Bright cannot control the company completely. Also, when cooperating with other companies, the possibility of conflicts will increase due to the different culture and the background. Our choice partner are Septo, a local dairy company in Canada. The data in the table is the cost of Bright acquisition of companies in other countries. Septo's current market cap is $1.2 billion. The price is too high for the acquisition cost for Bright, so we chose to enter Canada through joint venture. Next, we'll talk about the specific analysis of Septo and the strategy.
Thanks, April. I will continue with the partner part. Septo's revenue has grown from 7.3 billion to 14.3 billion Canadian dollars in 2013 to 2021. In addition, its Canadian cheese market share has already reached 25.7% in 2017. It shows that Septo consumer group is very large, and its influence is larger than other peer companies. Bright can use Septo's influence in Canada to better understand Canadian society, culture, and reduce Bright's restrictions on entering the Canadian markets. It can also take advantage of Septo's geographical advantage to reduce financial expenses, thereby reducing operating costs. Bright has a patent on the probiotic strain, which develops dairy products that can regulate blood levels and control weight. Septo can use Bright's technology to produce healthier, high-quality natural foods, thereby attracting more consumers and increasing revenue. Therefore, Bright's choice of a joint venture with Septo can be mutually beneficial and achieve a win-win situation. In order to avoid the risks brought by the joint venture, such as chain market infringement, chain secret leakage, Bright can establish a relatively low control joint venture with Septo, like sign a short-term contract, which can avoid the long-term risks due to changes in Canadian government policies. At the same time, the contract needs to specify the rights and obligations of each party. For example, Septo is mainly responsible for company establishment and marketing. Bright is responsible for technical production and capital circulation. They can share costs and the risks through joint venture and give full play to the advantage of both parties in technology and sales to obtain more profits and maximize benefits. For management, Septo and Bright need to communicate in all aspects, like dispatch personnel to exchange scientific research results, jointly develop new products, thereby enhancing their competitiveness. In addition, they should also set up a dedicated project team to participate in cooperation projects at any time to improve the flexibility within the organization.
Thanks, Win. And the following part, I will mainly introduce the challenges that may arise in joint venture and analyze them using the cage model. From the national economic standpoint, the Canadian labor force is more valuable than the Chinese labor force for the same job. According to the data, China's total labor force ranks first in the world and 40 times that of Canada. But the average salary is 4 times lower. Due to the large population base in China, grassroots staff are highly competitive and can be replaced at any time. Canada employees, on the other hand, have greater occupational stability, implying that Chinese and Canadian businesses view their respective countries' labor force differently. As a result, when Brett and Sapto establish a joint venture, their employee values will be different and generate different recruitment policies. From the management point of view, employees recognize Sapto's wages and welfare from the survey. However, poor management and ineffective leadership, coupled with high-intensity work, cause back pain in many employees over time. On the contrary, Brett's group is the polar opposite because factories often use machines and less manpower. Entry-level salaries are low, and in addition to basic insurance, other subsidies and year-end bonus are industry standard. As a result, two distant management models and the compensation package will cause conflicts in formulating internal management regulations. Apart from national environment and company cooperation, Brett's joint venture strategy will also suffer some hidden risk. Sapto Group increased their share in Canadian dairy market from 25.7% in 2017 to 37% in 2020. Due to the company's rapid expansion in recent years, the Brett will be a less powerful party when discussing control of joint venture, which means that the Brett company will receive relatively less when distributing profit. On the other hand, since the joint venture between the two enterprises involves cross-border cooperation, the number of supervision agencies and reporting entities will grow, which may also increase the development constraint.
Thank you, Yufen. Next, I will make a conclusion of all the previous content. First, we use the SWOT model to analyze the pros and cons of Bright Food and further analyze the opportunities and threats in the home country. Then it is decided that Bright Food will enter Canada after analyzing 3 potential markets that can be entered. The entry mode using the joint venture is decided by the OLI framework. Lastly, Bright Food chose the joint venture with Sapto. During this process, we applied the cage model to analyze the potential challenges that Bright Food may encounter from the perspective of economic and administrative differences. However, this cage model has some limitation. This model focuses on the entering country itself rather than the industry or market in which the company is located. This is more like analyzing whether the market can be entered from the perspective of the country rather than standing from the perspective of the enterprise. The second point is that the model itself is not a quick structure to employ because it needs extensive market research. Also, this model is aimed at the entry mode, and more analysis is needed for subsequent development. Regarding the development of Bright Food's entry into Canada, there are following prospects. First of all, according to the preferences and needs of local consumers, Bright Foods need to mobilize research and development resources in the launch of new products and combine more scenarios to comprehensively create products that meet the Canadian market concept. Second, if it successfully enters Canada, Bright Food can expand to other regions with similar geographical, cultural, and economic conditions to Canada in the future expansion plan. Finally, Bright Food can actively respond to the global carbon neutrality goal and formulate sustainable development goals based on its own situation. In 2019, Bright Food launched the Smart Chain platform. This platform aims to provide one-stop intelligent solutions to integrate upstream and downstream resources and connect various distribution channels. If Bright Food can apply this model to foreign markets, it will bring continuous growth and build a good reputation for the company. Here is the reference list. Thanks for your listening.